Thank you so much, everyone, for being patient. I know this is the last session, and we'll be making it very, very quick, very, very crisp for you to take notes and probably ask some questions to this esteemed panel. Leveraging CSR projects for having better lives. I think it's very general, and the intent behind is very, very clear. If you go back 10 years from now, it was more of focus on mandate rather than focus on intent. But with passing of time, we now see that the corporates have actually tried to take up CSR as a mode to showcase their social intent. And there has been a lot of, if we just talk about the investments that has been made in the last years, it's huge. But I will not talk about the money here. Let's keep the money aside. But we'll talk about the future and the aspects which the Schedule 7 of Companies Act touched on. Predominantly on education and healthcare. And on that note, I would like to ask Hemant. Hemant, I have this question, and this panel will touch base majorly on 4 aspects, which is first, healthcare for the rural India, then comes gender equality, then comes technology in agriculture, and then lastly we will talk about CSR linked to business. So Hemanta, moving over to you, could you please price this house on, how do you actually take basic healthcare system to the rooted communities?
Thank you, Vijay, and thank you for this opportunity. And first of all, it's a good that we are here in this CSR Congress, and I'm representing Ramki Foundation, as has been already introduced. I'm Hemant Kumar. Well, Vijay, this is very important yes, when we talk about basic services to the communities as a part of the CSR initiatives, as you aptly told that health has been very phenomenal, and it is very important that we take this healthcare system or basic healthcare services to the community level. Yes, it is very important that we need to work it out. But the programs and the CSR initiatives, what exactly the interventions that we are making through this particular CSR initiatives towards health, I think it is very important that we really need to focus on how the communities which are living in the terminal root level could get the benefit of these interventions, whatever we are making through these initiatives. So for instance, when we talk about, yes, there are a lot of tertiary secondary care units are there, where health can be leveraged and community may be benefited. But how really people who are really looking for kind of facilities, who are living in the terminal root levels, be it very typical tribal communities, who are far off from the civilizations, who are really struggles every day in and out to meet their daily needs, are they really able to accrue the benefit of health interventions that we are making through the CSR activities? That is very important. I'm talking basic healthcare facilities that we can really ensure them by designing programs and customizing in such a way that the health facilities, basic facilities of health requirements can be met, and we can take these facilities to the terminal root level. Those tribal people who are still not having any basic infrastructure, forget about civic amenities, they don't have proper inroads also to come and avail that facilities. So it is very important at this outset that we need to ensure how we can really take these basic healthcare facilities to the terminal root level of the communities, those who are living in the bottom of the pyramid, or you can say very far off from the mainstreams. So in such case, few health programs which we do have, be it mobile medical units, anything that we can make them mobile, so that instead of making them coming to a particular facility center and availing the service, if we can really able to take this service to the doorsteps of that particular community, so that they can really avail the benefit, and rest can move on, and gradually over a period of time, they can be made part of the mainstream society. So in that context, I can say, Bijoy, that yes, one is MHU, which we can really take it to the community level at the terminal roots. Similarly, we can talk about be it mobile dialysis unit, mobile TB units. All these things, of course, we really need to think of. Mobile ophthalmic units. For that matter, whatever all possible ways that if we can really able to take. Initially, yes, through mobile health facilities, we can give all kind of services. But screening is very important when we talk about mobile cancer. It is mobile TB units. It is very important that we have to screen and ensure that if they are affected, how we can really make them entangled with the facility required. And at the same time, if they are not really entangled, if cancer kind of thing, yes, basic screening we can do it. If they are not affected, that is well and good. If not, they are affected, then how we can integrate with the required facility so that we can really mainstream them. However, having said this, Vijay, one thing I can tell that yes, while we are making these attempts to take this primary or basic healthcare facilities to the tail ends of the communities, we have to see that are we really taking these programs in a gender neutral fashion, or all gender groups are equally getting benefits? Probably yes, it is a dichotomy, I believe. And I know, sure, my audience would also agree that yes, there is some sort of gender biasness, I would not say, rather gender differences are there. Still, there is a lot of people, a lot of our women counterparts really struggling in the tail end at the community level to really accrue the benefit and have an access to that basic health facility which is already there and going to the doorsteps. That is where probably we have to have a ice-breaking session, and we have to ensure that we will render the services without having any gender biasness, so all will have equal access. That is where probably we have to take a call how we really can make these basic healthcare facilities to be availed at the terminal root level by the community without any prejudice about gender and all. That is where probably we have to really ponder on, Vijay. That's what.
Thanks, Hemant, for that insight. In the recent past, there has been a lot of discussions around inclusion of men. I mean, diversity inclusion, it often tends to exclude the component, but I think I've read it in the past that how well can you include men in the programs of women empowerment? I think that is something very, that's missing probably. And Gauri, I would like to move next to you, and my question is, how crucial do you think, number one, is including men when you are designing programs for women empowerment, and probably what are the key components or the key factors that you would like to touch base on?
Thank you for that. And I mean, the short answer is extremely important, but I want to sort of add the qualifier that the inclusion of men necessary for women's programs to succeed. So it isn't sort of one more thing for us to do for men in society. Gender by itself sort of signifies a relational concept. Addition to that, a lot of interventions are at the heart of relationships. And, just by virtue of their status in society, men tend to have much more institutional power, relative privilege in the household, more decision making. So to include men in a lot of these interventions, lets you really take the point home. They have much more power to push back against unhealthy social norms. So whether it's interventions on sexual reproductive health, it takes two people, it takes some degree of consensus building even within the family for a woman to be able to exercise that agency. Otherwise, it's just information and knowledge. The second piece also is that these can be extremely liberating for men. I mean, patriarchy, yes, maybe disproportionately impacts or damages the lives of women, but it's not that men are free of the yokes of patriarchy. And the third piece of this is, even if it's not a directly impacting intervention like health is, say a skilling program or an entrepreneurship program, we need men to be able to take on, say, a bulk of the unpaid labor at home, to allow women the space and freedom to be able to access a skilling or a training program. So you need you need a participatory approach. You need to sort of take the whole family along with you, because the fact is, women still, we can train them as much as we want, but when it comes to access to credit, access to financial institutions, so having a bank account, access to land, you could sort of have an entrepreneurship training, but if she was to open a kirana store, she needs the 30,000, she needs the bank to be able to, give her that loan. She needs a collateral. She needs somebody with existing privilege in the system. And someday the hope is that we will not need that. But for now, the idea is that we get that together, because, women, something as simple technology like mobile phones are owned by the men in the house. So, where is she going to get her OTP?
Thanks, Gauri. It's just to summarize, it's like more like we don't want to defeat you. We just want to walk beside you. So we are not. I mean, the true meaning of feminism is what I believe. It should be. We don't want to defeat you. We don't want to go past you, but it's like walking with you. Probably that where we can achieve some level of equality. But on the tech part, Gauri, uh, myself, when I come from this semicon background, and I know how tech is in these days, and from the last couple of years it has been. But including that component into agriculture is something very, very unique and has a lot of potential for greater impact. So I'll now move to Dipanvita. Dipanvita question is, given the technological advancements in the last few years, how exactly do you think that it's beneficial for the beneficiaries in the formative years?
Thanks, Vijay. And I'll take off from Gauri's point. Am I audible? I hope
Yes,
the mic is working. Yes, and also it's nice to be in a panel which is reverse gender biased. So that's really great. So taking off from Gauri's point, right, and establishing a fun fact that agriculture is what puts food on the table for all of us. And it's the producer of stuff, but it's also a lot of consumption that happens in the agriculture field. Water, soil health, everything is integrated. But before I get into the question that Bijay just asked, I do want to just do a little story about how things can change with little intervention and little enablement, because all of us have been given potential. It's just that little push, that little edge that is required, right? So we have a program called Hatching Hope Global Initiative. It's a global program of Kargil, but in India, it is done in the state of Orissa, mainly around the belt of Keonjhar and Mayurbhanj district. It's a program which is to enable women farmers. There are 30,000 women farmers involved, but to enable women farmers to create alternate or another supplementary source of income for the family through rearing poultry in the household, which they already do. It's just to give them that tool and technique to do that livestock management in a better way, in a way that takes them from subsistence to profitability. Through that process, an ecosystem that I'm going to not tell the entire story, just through that ecosystem, ecosystem that, some of the really encouraging and very fulfilling stuff that came up was there were girls in those villages who had just done their 10th standard or at most maybe 12th. And these birds, the birds that they had in the homes, they needed vaccinating, to avoid bird flu, just for the health of the birds. And to be able to train some of those girls and women in general in that community to do vaccination and call them as CAVES. CAVES stand for Community Agrovets. And very soon, they started to be addressed as Dr. Didis. Yeah. If you all don't mind giving a big round of applause for those women who actually have amazingly inspired me, continue to inspire me, and all of us who are part of the program. I think those are little things that make a difference. Right? And to your specific question, Bijay, as we talk about tech in agriculture or tech anywhere, especially in the hinterland of our countries and where it is, accessibility is an issue, affordability is an issue, availability is an issue, and adaptability is an issue, right? So if we do not work around all of those, we talk about drone, we talk about IoT, we talk about blockchain, nothing is going to work if we do not meet those farmers and the farming households where they are. There is no cookie cutter. I can tell you, from my a decade plus of experience of working in the field that it does not work sitting in ivory towers and making decisions and not knowing what those people who are actually doing the grind are facing and what do they need. If we do not address that, you bring out 500 schemes, 1,000 schemes, you have grants, funds, investments, nothing is going to work and we're going to come back to square one if we are not cognizant of those very basic foundational aspects. So I really call upon all, it's great to be in a room full of practitioners who have similar thought process, like-minded individuals who really care about the environment, the climate, the people, right? And we also have the ability to influence people in the organizations that we work for. Somebody talked about board level conversations, etc. We have the ability to influence them.
Yes.
And we have to do it right with process, with heart, with intent, but also with being able to show results and in a way which is incremental and sometimes exponential. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Great thoughts, Dipanvita. I think, more of it, I mean, this is just my crux of whatever you have put across. In the past, there has also been a concept of CSR linked to business. I mean, this was there from the very beginning, but in the recent past, there has been a lot of companies who are trying to take up initiatives which are actually linked to their business. This also gives them a chance, probably for their employees also to get engaged there. Typically in MNCs, you have to engage employees. Without that, that's basically an indicator of a program, how many employees are engaged. That may be a formality or a checkbox activity, but that is there. But there are other organizations with another page to it which says that the dedicated people who actually work for the community, but the projects are aligned to their core business. So, Kavita, my question to you is, what could be the benefits, or I mean, in your experience, what could be the benefits when a company's, a corporate's programs or the projects are aligned to their business? Because, I mean, with limited experience, I've seen companies where the CSR program are being conducted, are being driven, but it looks like, prima facie, it looks like more of just fulfilling a compliance. There is no linkages to the business, there is no strategy around it, but I would like to know from you.
Thanks, Vijay, for the question. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kavita, and I head CSR for CNH Industrial, which is into agriculture equipment manufacturing and also construction equipment manufacturing. And we have 4 thematic areas: health, education, environment, and skill development. But then, as Vijay said, how is it to link your core business or align it with your CSR project? So I would like to thank Mr. Bhatia here. He laid the foundation in the morning about crop residue management, or straw management as we call it. That is one of the core CSR projects that we do. And we started off in 2017 because we are also the pioneers in manufacturing balers, which is actually the equipment which can technologically take care of the straw from the field, bale it, and then you can sell those bales to power plants for power production. The basic problem today why the stubble was burnt, that is also because of technology. People were earlier actually harvesting it by hand and then used to uproot the entire straw from the field. Then combine harvesters came in, took the grains out and left the straw in the field. That was a bane of technology, but then technology again came to the help of the farmers, saying that there is an equipment called baler which can uproot it, bale it, and you can sell it off because there is also lack of labor. But on the face of it, it seems very easy that farmers would jump at that solution, but it was not easy. When we started off at Kalar Majri in a village near Patiala, we were actually called upon by the Ministry of Agriculture there to take this project up because it was assuming menacing proportions there in Punjab. When we went there, it took us about 7 to 8 meetings with the farmers. They were not easy to budge. In the first 3 meetings, कि नहीं जी, आप हमको तो आग लगाना, एक माचिस डालूंगा, मेरा काम खत्म हो जाएगा रात में, without realizing that fire is not only killing the microorganisms on the surface, it's also polluting the environment. Their job was being done because they were very keen to take the next crop as early as possible. Then there is a power of community to amplify what you are doing. You just have to pick on the right people, or maybe God guides those people to you when your heart is in the right place, that you want to do something for the community. So there was this farmer, progressive farmer, who was actually a corporate worker in Gurgaon who had come back to his village to take up farming. He stood up and he said, I will help you all to do this. We started off from there, and then what we did, they were not willing to invest any money for the operations. We had donated that entire set of tractor, baler, mulcher, and rake for the operations, so we put in an operator at our cost. But we told the villagers that whatever is the revenue earned out of it will go to the operator, you will not get anything out of it. Now when they saw the returns in the first year, after the baling was done, sold off to the power plant, they woke up to the fact that the waste, what they were considering to be waste, was actually wealth. So we came up with the tagline that parali se sona, or waste to wealth. Next year they walked up to us and they said ki aap hame train karo, we want to actually operate these machines. And on the date that we were actually commemorating the first year of with this stubble management in Kalar Majri, they were also mentioned in Man Ki Baat, saying that that was the only village which remained smoke free. And that village actually adopted another 5 more villages in the subsequent years, and we have on our own actually been to, partnered with Ministry of Agriculture, Krishi Vigyan Kendra, IARI, been to 25 locations, and they in turn have actually adopted 5 more villages, and like we are there in 50 locations. Deloitte has come up to take that project in 35 locations across Haryana. So that is the power of technology and community that came together, used technology, adopted it, because it's very easy to adopt bad practices. It took us time, but then we will slowly reach, as Mr. Bhatia also says, that there it is yielding result. So we are not only concentrated in Punjab and Haryana, because we know everyone adopts bad practices very fast. So we have done this project with showcased it in MP, Chhattisgarh, even Maharashtra, Uttarakhand, Bihar, everywhere you name it, and we are like planning to expand it to other locations also. So this is how we have leveraged technology. And the second part, what we do is like our core business, as I said, we focus on a lot of skill development project to provide employability skills to people. In the areas that we are, for the agriculture sector, we are doing a tractor maintenance mechanic, or we are also, we have opened up training centers at KVK Baramati, and then one is in Coimbatore, for training people as sugarcane harvester operators, because these are the sugar belts. So productivity is a challenge, and even the labor is also challenged there. We have a standalone center opposite IIM Indore, for backhoe loader operators. We have trained about 500 people in 2 years and facilitated jobs for about 350 people. So that has again created a value for us in those projects. And this is how we have linked our core business, and because when it creates awareness about your equipment, more business means more money coming into CSR. So this is how we define it. And then we have a scholarship project, which I would like to maintain, because that is it is a very interesting project in the sense that we are providing scholarship and training support to underprivileged female engineering students, and we have picked up those students from the farmer community, because that is the community that we are catering to. And you would be surprised to know that out of the 20 people that we support, 5 are studying at Delhi IIT, and they are first generation learners from their family. So bringing them up to that level, giving scholarship support, and then also providing training is adding value to their lives.
Good insights from the last panel, I believe. It's basically flourishing the skills that you have to the community, and for US-based organizations, this is just one thing that it's very difficult to get into the rural pockets. It's very, very difficult, because volunteering part tends to be missing. You cannot expect an employee to travel 7 hours to a rural pocket and then come back. So typically the practice more or less is to do something in the vicinity. And I think this kind of, the kind of work that you are doing is kind of covering up for a lot of things. And with this note, I would like to open this for the audience here, and we'll just take 2 questions, one from this side, one from that side, and then we close the panel. First question from this side, probably if anyone has anything for the panelists here. No? Okay, thank you. Anyone from this side, any questions to the panelists? Okay, please. Yes, please. You might have to be a little loud. Oh, wow. Okay, there's a mic.
From the perspective of gender, Gauri, I just want you to comment based on your observation. Most of the program, whether it's government program policies or we look at the CSR, it is more gender blind or gender sensitive, but it is not gender transformative. So when you look at the program, the participation of the women in the communities will only make it transformative. So otherwise, like it's more of welfareist measures. We give them tailoring machine, we give them beautician course. So how does it change the whole systemic, the causes? Comments, please.
To include men, you mean, in the programs that we're doing?
Yeah, anything that your observation based on the interventions made for the empowerment.
Right. So I'll kind of maybe expand on the public health example that we were using. We actually started a program for women's entrepreneurship. So like you were saying, there was tailoring, there was tutoring, and there was micro businesses. In the first year, we found that there was relative success. The two sort of glitches that women seemed to have were precisely this. It was access to capital. They had this training, then what? Or they were placed in these jobs, and then what? They were able to do it for a year, 2 years. A lot of them were young girls straight out of 12th pass. They were getting married, having children in a year or 2 years. So the two pieces that we had to address was women were still disproportionately bearing all the labor that is not accounted for in our economy. So whether it's reproductive labor, care labor, domestic labor. There was no way we could shift that unless we got men to be part of that equation, right? And it did mean childcare responsibilities, household responsibilities, elder parents' responsibilities. So that was one. The second piece was, then we also sort of layered on top of that sexual reproductive health training programs. They were just 2-month-long programs, primarily for women aged 18 to 35. Within a few weeks, the women were coming up to us and saying, can I call my mother-in-law to attend this? Is it okay if my husband comes to sit on this? Because just to be able to broach these conversations at home, right? What was the point of teaching them about the different contraceptive methods if they didn't feel like they were able to have that conversation at home? And initially there was some resistance, because what did it mean to have men in a mixed group? Would other women feel comfortable? But we were very surprised at how quickly that shifted. It moved to sort of an inquiry-based knowledge-sharing platform. People had a lot of questions, and people went back much better informed, willing to. Men felt like they were learning from each other. And I want to sort of temper it with, yes, there's moderate success, and we still have a lot of women dropping out in 2 years or 3 years. But whatever success we have had, it is because the mothers-in-law and the husbands were really backing them and supporting them. So, yeah.
Just to add to what Gauri mentioned, I think Gauri and I were in the panel, I think, couple of months back, and this is the example that I gave during that discussion. Predominantly, the projects focused on women, be it empowerment or health. Mostly what we have seen is probably, the example that I'm giving is of menstrual health. We were working in a government school in Uttar Pradesh. And when I reached out to my partner saying that why aren't you including the boys of the class in that program? He said, no, sir, I think there will be a lot of shyness around. We don't want to do that. Shyness was the word. Please note it. But, I said, no, I'm the donor. You'll have to do it. Include the boys. On a lighter note. But yes, they did include the boys. And when the feedback came in, I said, what happened? How did the program go? Yes, there was a lot of shyness. You rightly mentioned. I said, yeah, okay, the girls would have been. No, the boys were shy. This is the feedback that I received. From then on, I tried to include the boys in those conversations also, because there is a hesitancy. The level of hesitancy is also there, prevailing. It's very, very prevailing there. So we need to curb that out to make it a little equitable for both, for boys and for the girls as well.
Can you hear me now? Yes. So during the pandemic, none of us like that. May that never happen again. It was disastrous. But when the reverse migration was happening from cities, and again the same program in Orissa, these women who were rearing poultry and doing livestock and selling this to the market, or using it at home, we saw those very women, when the men were in distress, actually sharing resources with each other and bringing the community together. And the kind of agency that they gained out of that, that really made a lot of leaders in that place. Not an appropriate example to give for sure. It didn't have to be a pandemic for that to happen, honestly. But just by dint of fate, it so happened that because they were in the program already for 2 or 3 years and they had that, they had made some savings. And that's another thing with women, right? We have seen our moms and grandmoms always putting some money in some sari fold that never goes away. It happens everywhere when they get some avenue. So I think those things should not be missed. They're like little things that keep happening. I think those are very, very powerful, and that leads to compounding of it and create something major.
Great. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you. I would like to call upon the organizers. I think the panel was good enough. We had good questions. I'll just like to close this one thing. Like, I'm sure you would have heard about this. Like, हाथ थाम चलना हो तो दोनों के हाथ संग कैसे? एक दाया होगा, एक बाया होगा. So let's close this here. I think gender equality is one thing, but we need to understand that there is no one like we are above or we are not, we are beneath. So that has to come from within. Thank you so much. Thank you.